Provincial Product Accounts, or PPA, is the mechanism of the Philippine Statistics Authority to compile the gross domestic product, or GDP, of the provinces and highly urbanized city, or HUC. The GDP of a province or HUC is measured following an internationally recognized framework, the System of National Accounts, which is also the framework used in the compilation of the regional and national GDP. Using the production approach, the GDP compilation in provincial product accounts covers 16 industries. These are agriculture, forestry, and fishing, mining and quarrying, manufacturing, electricity, steam, water and waste management, construction, wholesale and retail trade, repair of motor vehicles and motorcycles, transportation and storage, accommodation and food service activities, information and communication, financial and insurance activities, real estate and ownership of dwellings, professional and business services,
public administration and defense, compulsory social security, education, human health and social work activities, and other services. The GDP is compiled by adding together the gross value added of the 16 industries. The gross value added for an industry is calculated by subtracting the intermediate consumption from the industry's gross output. This represents the net contribution of the industry to the economy. GDP at the provincial or HUC level answers questions on economic size, economic performance, economic structure, and comparison with other economies in the region and in the country. How do we transform data for PPA?
Towards institutionalization of the PPA, the PSA ensures sustainable coordination with data providers and users by getting them involved in the process through meetings, training workshops, and consultations.
Data collected from local government units and other agencies include revenue of establishments, energy statistics, banking statistics, agriculture statistics, annual audit reports, and other sectoral data. The Macroeconomic Accounts Service, in collaboration with PSA regional and provincial offices, leads the estimation of the GDP of provinces and HUCs. From raw data collected, PPA estimation is done at the industry level, deliberated and consolidated to arrive at the GDP of the provinces and HUCs. The PSA field offices hold annual dissemination fora on the performance of the economy of their provinces and HUCs.
The journey of the provincial product accounts began in 2021 with 14 provinces and 6 HUCs from 3 pilot regions: Mimaropa region, Central Visayas, and Northern Mindanao. In the same year, the PSA board, which is the highest policy-making body on statistical matters, passed Resolution Number 4, Series of 2021, enjoining government agencies, local government units, and private sectors to provide data support in the generation of the PPA. This marked the start of a significant collaborative effort between the national government, LGUs, and regional and provincial stakeholders. The successful implementation of the PPA in 2021 paved the way for its expansion. In 2022, 6 more regions were added to the PPA compilation: the Cordillera Administrative Region, Calabarzon, Western Visayas, Eastern Visayas, Davao Region, and Soc-Sargent, for a total of 46 provinces and 13 HUC. The momentum continued in 2023 with the inclusion of 7 more regions: Ilocos Region, Cagayan Valley, Central Luzon, Bicol Region, Zamboanga Peninsula, Caraga, and the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao. That year, the PPA also received strong support from the League of Governors through a General Assembly Resolution Number 2023-003, a clear indication of how important the initiative had become for local leaders across the country. The year 2024 marked a significant milestone in the PPA journey. With the inclusion of the National Capital Region, the PPA now covers all 82 provinces and 33 highly urbanized cities across the country. On the 20th of September 2024, the PSA and the Department of the Interior and local government signed Joint Memorandum Circular number 2024-01, formalizing their collaboration and thus ensuring that the collection and analysis of provincial economic data will become a regular and essential part of economic reporting in the Philippines. With the institutionalization of the provincial product accounts in 2025, the journey that began in 2021 with just 3 pilot regions has now become a nationwide effort, empowering provinces and cities to take charge of their economic futures with confidence and data-driven insight.
Provincial Product Accounts, or PPA, is the mechanism of the Philippine Statistics Authority to compile the gross domestic product, or GDP, of the provinces and highly urbanized city, or HUC. The GDP of a province or HUC is measured following an internationally recognized framework, the System of National Accounts, which is also the framework used in the compilation of the regional and national GDP. Using the production approach, the GDP compilation in provincial product accounts covers 16 industries. These are agriculture, forestry, and fishing, mining and quarrying, manufacturing, electricity, steam, water and waste management, construction, wholesale and retail trade, repair of motor vehicles and motorcycles, transportation and storage, accommodation and food service activities, information and communication, financial and insurance activities, real estate and ownership of dwellings, professional and business services,
Public administration and defense, compulsory social security, education, human health and social work activities, and other services. The GDP is compiled by adding together the gross value added of the 16 industries. The gross value added for an industry is calculated by subtracting the intermediate consumption from the industry's gross output. This represents the net contribution of the industry to the economy. GDP at the provincial or HUC level answers questions on economic size, economic performance, economic structure, and comparison with other economies in the region and in the country. How do we transform data for PPA?
Towards institutionalization of the PPA, the PSA ensures sustainable coordination with data providers and users by getting them involved in the process through meetings, training workshops, and consultations.
Data collected from local government units and other agencies include revenue of establishments, energy statistics, banking statistics, agriculture statistics, annual audit reports, and other sectoral data. The Macroeconomic Accounts Service, in collaboration with PSA regional and provincial offices, leads the estimation of the GDP of provinces and HUCs. From raw data collected, PPA estimation is done at the industry level, deliberated and consolidated to arrive at the GDP of the provinces and HUCs. The PSA field offices hold annual dissemination fora on the performance of the economy of their provinces and HUCs.
The journey of the provincial product accounts began in 2021 with 14 provinces and 6 HUCs from 3 pilot regions: Mimaropa region, Central Visayas, and Northern Mindanao. In the same year, the PSA Board, which is the highest policy-making body on statistical matters, passed Resolution Number 4, Series of 2021, enjoining government agencies, local government units, and private sectors to provide data support in the generation of the PPA. This marked the start of a significant collaborative effort between the national government, LGUs, and regional and provincial stakeholders. The successful implementation of the PPA in 2021 paved the way for its expansion. In 2022, 6 more regions were added to the PPA compilation: the Cordillera Administrative Region, Calabarzon, Western Visayas, Eastern Visayas, Davao Region, and Soc-Sargent, for a total of 46 provinces and 13 HUC. The momentum continued in 2023 with the inclusion of 7 more regions: Ilocos Region, Cagayan Valley, Central Luzon, Bicol Region, Zamboanga Peninsula, Caraga, and the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao. That year, the PPA also received strong support from the League of Governors through a General Assembly Resolution Number 2023-003, a clear indication of how important the initiative had become for local leaders across the country. The year 2024 marked a significant milestone in the PPA journey. With the inclusion of the National Capital Region, the PPA now covers all 82 provinces and 33 highly urbanized cities across the country. On the 20th of September 2024, the PSA and the Department of the Interior and Local Government signed Joint Memorandum Circular Number 2024-01, formalizing their collaboration and thus ensuring that the collection and analysis of provincial economic data will become a regular and essential part of economic reporting in the Philippines. With the institutionalization of the provincial product accounts in 2025, the journey that began in 2021 with just 3 pilot regions has now become a nationwide effort, empowering provinces and cities to take charge of their economic futures with confidence and data-driven insight.
Provincial Product Accounts, or PPA, is the mechanism of the Philippine Statistics Authority to compile the gross domestic product, or GDP, of the provinces and highly urbanized city, or HUC. The GDP of a province or HUC is measured following an internationally recognized framework, the System of National Accounts, which is also the framework used in the compilation of the regional and national GDP. Using the production approach, the GDP compilation in provincial product accounts covers 16 industries. These are agriculture, forestry, and fishing, mining and quarrying, manufacturing, electricity, steam, water and waste management, construction, wholesale and retail trade, repair of motor vehicles and motorcycles, transportation and storage, accommodation and food service activities, information and communication, financial and insurance activities, real estate and ownership of dwellings, professional and business services,
public administration and defense, compulsory social security, education, human health and social work activities, and other services. The GDP is compiled by adding together the gross value added of the 16 industries. The gross value added for an industry is calculated by subtracting the intermediate consumption from the industry's gross output. This represents the net contribution of the industry to the economy. GDP at the provincial or HUC level answers questions on economic size, economic performance, economic structure, and comparison with other economies in the region and in the country. How do we transform data for PPA?
Towards institutionalization of the PPA, the PSA ensures sustainable coordination with data providers and users by getting them involved in the process through meetings, training workshops, and consultations.
Data collected from local government units and other agencies include revenue of establishments, energy statistics, banking statistics, agriculture statistics, annual audit reports, and other sectoral data. The Macroeconomic Accounts Service, in collaboration with PSA regional and provincial offices, leads the estimation of the GDP of provinces and HUCs. From raw data collected, PPA estimation is done at the industry level, deliberated and consolidated to arrive at the GDP of the provinces and HUCs. The PSA field offices hold annual dissemination fora on the performance of the economy of their provinces and HUCs.
The journey of the provincial product accounts began in 2021 with 14 provinces and 6 HUCs from 3 pilot regions: Mimaropa region, Central Visayas, and Northern Mindanao. In the same year, the PSA board, which is the highest policy-making body on statistical matters, passed Resolution Number 4, Series of 2021, enjoining government agencies, local government units, and private sectors to provide data support in the generation of the PPA. This marked the start of a significant collaborative effort between the national government, LGUs, and regional and provincial stakeholders. The successful implementation of the PPA in 2021 paved the way for its expansion. In 2022, 6 more regions were added to the PPA compilation: the Cordillera Administrative Region, Calabarzon, Western Visayas, Eastern Visayas, Davao Region, and Sac-Sargent, for a total of 46 provinces and 13 HUC. The momentum continued in 2023 with the inclusion of 7 more regions: Ilocos Region, Cagayan Valley, Central Luzon, Bicol Region, Zamboanga Peninsula, Caraga, and the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao. That year, the PPA also received strong support from the League of Governors through a General Assembly Resolution Number 2023-003, a clear indication of how important the initiative had become for local leaders across the country. The year 2024 marked a significant milestone in the PPA journey. With the inclusion of the National Capital Region, the PPA now covers all 82 provinces and 33 highly urbanized cities across the country. On the 20th of September 2024, the PSA and the Department of the Interior and Local Government signed Joint Memorandum Circular Number 2024-01, formalizing their collaboration and thus ensuring that the collection and analysis of provincial economic data will become a regular and essential part of economic reporting in the Philippines. With the institutionalization of the provincial product accounts in 2025, the journey that began in 2021 with just 3 pilot regions has now become a nationwide effort, empowering provinces and cities to take charge of their economic futures with confidence and data-driven insight.
Provincial Product Accounts, or PPA, is the mechanism of the Philippine Statistics Authority to compile the gross domestic product, or GDP, of the provinces and highly urbanized city, or HUC. The GDP of a province or HUC is measured following an internationally recognized framework, the System of National Accounts, which is also the framework used in the compilation of the regional and national GDP. Using the production approach, the GDP compilation in provincial product accounts covers 16 industries. These are agriculture, forestry, and fishing, mining and quarrying, manufacturing, electricity, steam, water and waste management, construction, wholesale and retail trade, repair of motor vehicles and motorcycles, transportation and storage, accommodation and food service activities, information and communication, financial and insurance activities, real estate and ownership of dwellings, professional and business services,
Public administration and defense, compulsory social security, education, human health and social work activities, and other services. The GDP is compiled by adding together the gross value added of the 16 industries. The gross value added for an industry is calculated by subtracting the intermediate consumption from the industry's gross output. This represents the net contribution of the industry to the economy. GDP at the provincial or HUC level answers questions on economic size, economic performance, economic structure, and comparison with other economies in the region and in the country. How do we transform data for PPA?
Towards institutionalization of the PPA, The PSA ensures sustainable coordination with data providers and users by getting them involved in the process through meetings, training workshops, and consultations.
Data collected from local government units and other agencies include revenue of establishments, energy statistics, banking statistics, agriculture statistics, annual audit reports, and other sectoral data. The Macroeconomic Accounts Service, in collaboration with PSA regional and provincial offices, leads the estimation of the GDP of provinces and HUCs. From raw data collected, PPA estimation is done at the industry level, deliberated and consolidated to arrive at the GDP of the provinces and HUCs. The PSA field offices hold annual dissemination fora on the performance of the economy of their provinces and HUCs.
The journey of the provincial product accounts began in 2021 with 14 provinces and 6 HUCs from 3 pilot regions: Mimaropa region, Central Visayas, and Northern Mindanao. In the same year, the PSA Board, which is the highest policy-making body on statistical matters, passed Resolution Number 4, Series of 2021, enjoining government agencies, local government units, and private sectors to provide data support in the generation of the PPA. This marked the start of a significant collaborative effort between the national government, LGUs, and regional and provincial stakeholders. The successful implementation of the PPA in 2021 paved the way for its expansion. In 2022, 6 more regions were added to the PPA compilation: the Cordillera Administrative Region, Calabarzon, Western Visayas, Eastern Visayas, Davao Region, and Sac-Sargent, for a total of 46 provinces and 13 HUC. The momentum continued in 2023 with the inclusion of 7 more regions: Ilocos Region, Cagayan Valley, Central Luzon, Bicol Region, Zamboanga Peninsula, Caraga, and the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao. That year, the PPA also received strong support from the League of Governors through a General Assembly Resolution Number 2023-003, a clear indication of how important the initiative had become for local leaders across the country. The year 2024 marked a significant milestone in the PPA journey. With the inclusion of the National Capital Region, the PPA now covers all 82 provinces and 33 highly urbanized cities across the country. On the 20th of September 2024, the PSA and the Department of the Interior and Local Government signed Joint Memorandum Circular Number 2024-01, formalizing their collaboration and thus ensuring that the collection and analysis of provincial economic data will become a regular and essential part of economic reporting in the Philippines. With the institutionalization of the provincial product accounts in 2025, the journey that began in 2021 with just 3 pilot regions has now become a nationwide effort, empowering provinces and cities to take charge of their economic futures with confidence and data-driven insight.
Provincial Product Accounts, or PPA, is the mechanism of the Philippine Statistics Authority to compile the gross domestic product, or GDP, of the provinces and highly urbanized city, or HUC. The GDP of a province or HUC is measured following an internationally recognized framework, the System of National Accounts, which is also the framework used in the compilation of the regional and national GDP. Using the production approach, the GDP compilation in provincial product accounts covers 16 industries. These are agriculture, forestry, and fishing, mining and quarrying, manufacturing, electricity, steam, water and waste management, construction, wholesale and retail trade, repair of motor vehicles and motorcycles, transportation and storage, accommodation and food service activities, information and communication, financial and insurance activities, real estate and ownership of dwellings, professional and business services,
public administration and defense, compulsory social security, education, human health and social work activities, and other services. The GDP is compiled by adding together the gross value added of the 16 industries. The gross value added for an industry is calculated by subtracting the intermediate consumption from the industry's gross output. This represents the net contribution of the industry to the economy. GDP at the provincial or HUC level answers questions on economic size, economic performance, economic structure, and comparison with other economies in the region and in the country. How do we transform data for PPA?
Towards institutionalization of the PPA, the PSA ensures sustainable coordination with data providers and users by getting them involved in the process through meetings, training workshops, and consultations.
Data collected from local government units and other agencies include revenue of establishments, energy statistics, banking statistics, agriculture statistics, annual audit reports, and other sectoral data. The Macroeconomic Accounts Service, in collaboration with PSA regional and provincial offices, leads the estimation of the GDP of provinces and HUCs. From raw data collected, PPA estimation is done at the industry level, deliberated and consolidated to arrive at the GDP.
In the same year, the PSA Board, which is the highest policy-making body on statistical matters, passed Resolution Number 4, Series of 2021, enjoining government agencies, local government units, and private sectors to provide data support in the generation of the PPA. This marked the start of a significant collaborative effort between the national government, LGUs, and regional and provincial stakeholders. The successful implementation of the PPA in 2021 paved the way for its expansion. In 2022, 6 more regions were added to the PPA compilation: the Cordillera Administrative Region, Calabarzon, Western Visayas, Eastern Visayas, Davao Region, and Soc-Sargent, for a total of 46 provinces and 13 HUC. The momentum continued in 2023 with the inclusion of 7 more regions: Ilocos Region, Cagayan Valley, Central Luzon, Bicol Region, Zamboanga Peninsula, Caraga, and the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao. That year, the PPA also received strong support from the League of Governors through a General Assembly Resolution Number 2023-003, a clear indication of how important the initiative had become for local leaders across the country. The year 2024 marked a significant milestone in the PPA journey. With the inclusion of the National Capital Region, the PPA now covers all 82 provinces and 33 highly urbanized cities across the country. On the 20th of September 2024, the PSA and the Department of the Interior and Local Government signed Joint Memorandum Circular Number 2024-01, formalizing their collaboration and thus ensuring that the collection and analysis of provincial economic data will become a regular and essential part of economic reporting in the Philippines. With the institutionalization of the provincial product accounts in 2025, the journey that began in 2021 with just 3 pilot regions has now become a nationwide effort, empowering provinces and cities to take charge of their economic futures with confidence and data-driven insight.
Provincial Product Accounts, or PPA, is the mechanism of the Philippine Statistics Authority to compile the gross domestic product, or GDP, of the provinces and highly urbanized city, or HUC. The GDP of a province or HUC is measured following an internationally recognized framework, the System of National Accounts, which is also the framework used in the compilation of the regional and national GDP. Using the production approach, the GDP compilation in provincial product accounts covers 16 industries. These are agriculture, forestry, and fishing, mining and quarrying, manufacturing, electricity, steam, water and waste management, construction, wholesale and retail trade, repair of motor vehicles and motorcycles, transportation and storage, accommodation and food service activities, information and communication, financial and insurance activities, real estate and ownership of dwellings, professional and business services,
public administration and defense, compulsory social security, education, human health and social work activities, and other services. The GDP is compiled by adding together the gross value added of the 16 industries. The gross value added for an industry is calculated by subtracting the intermediate consumption from the industry's gross output. This represents the net contribution of the industry to the economy. GDP at the provincial or HUC level answers questions on economic size, economic performance, economic structure, and comparison with other economies in the region and in the country. How do we transform data for PPA?
Towards institutionalization of the PPA, the PSA ensures sustainable coordination with data providers and users by getting them involved in the process through meetings, training workshops, and consultations.
Data collected from local government units and other agencies include revenue of establishments, energy statistics, banking statistics, agriculture statistics, annual audit reports, and other sectoral data. The Macroeconomic Accounts Service, in collaboration with PSA regional and provincial offices, leads the estimation of the GDP of provinces and HUCs. From raw data collected, PPA estimation is done at the industry level, deliberated and consolidated to arrive at the GDP of the provinces and HUCs. The PSA field offices hold annual dissemination fora on the performance of the economy of their provinces and HUCs.
The journey of the provincial product accounts began in 2021 with 14 provinces and 6 HUCs from 3 pilot regions: Mimaropa region, Central Visayas, and Northern Mindanao. In the same year, the PSA board, which is the highest policymaking body on statistical matters, passed Resolution Number 4, Series of 2021, enjoining government agencies, local government units, and private sectors to provide data support in the generation of the PPA. This marked the start of a significant collaborative effort between the national government, LGUs, and regional and provincial stakeholders. The successful implementation of the PPA in 2021 paved the way for its expansion. In 2022, 6 more regions were added to the PPA compilation: the Cordillera Administrative Region, Calabarzon, Western Visayas, Eastern Visayas, Davao Region, and Soc-Sargent, for a total of 46 provinces and 13 HUC. The momentum continued in 2023 with the inclusion of 7 more regions: Ilocos Region, Cagayan Valley, Central Luzon, Bicol Region, Zamboanga Peninsula, Caraga, and the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao. That year, the PPA also received strong support from the League of Governors through a General Assembly Resolution Number 2023-003, a clear indication of how important the initiative had become for local leaders across the country. The year 2024 marked a significant milestone in the PPA journey. With the inclusion of the National Capital Region, the PPA now covers all 82 provinces and 33 highly urbanized cities across the country. On the 20th of September 2024, the PSA and the Department of the Interior and local government signed Joint Memorandum Circular Number 2024-01, formalizing their collaboration and thus ensuring that the collection and analysis of provincial economic data will become a regular and essential part of economic reporting in the Philippines. With the institutionalization of the provincial product accounts in 2025, the journey that began in 2021 with just 3 pilot regions has now become a nationwide effort, empowering provinces and cities to take charge of their economic futures with confidence and data-driven insight.
Provincial Product Accounts, or PPA, is the mechanism of the Philippine Statistics Authority to compile the gross domestic product, or GDP, of the provinces and highly urbanized city, or HUC. The GDP of a province or HUC is measured following an internationally recognized framework, the System of National Accounts, which is also the framework used in the compilation of the regional and national GDP. Using the production approach, the GDP compilation in provincial product accounts covers 16 industries. These are agriculture, forestry, and fishing, mining and quarrying, manufacturing, electricity, steam, water and waste management, construction, wholesale and retail trade, repair of motor vehicles and motorcycles, transportation and storage, accommodation and food service activities, information and communication, financial and insurance activities, real estate and ownership of dwellings, professional and business services,
Public administration and defense, compulsory social security, education, human health and social work activities, and other services. The GDP is compiled by adding together the gross value added of the 16 industries. The gross value added for an industry is calculated by subtracting the intermediate consumption from the industry's gross output. This represents the net contribution of the industry to the economy. GDP at the provincial or HUC level answers questions on economic size, economic performance, economic structure, and comparison with other economies in the region and in the country. How do we transform data for PPA?
Towards institutionalization of the PPA, the PSA ensures sustainable coordination with data providers and users by getting them involved in the process through meetings, training workshops, and consultations.
Data collected from local government units and other agencies include revenue of establishments, energy statistics, banking statistics, agriculture statistics, annual audit reports, and other sectoral data. The Macroeconomic Accounts Service, in collaboration with PSA regional and provincial offices, leads the estimation of the GDP of provinces and HUCs. From raw data collected, PPA estimation is done at the industry level, deliberated and consolidated to arrive at the GDP of the provinces and HUCs. The PSA field offices hold annual dissemination fora on the performance of the economy of their provinces and HUCs.
The journey of the provincial product accounts began in 2021 with 14 provinces and 6 HUCs from 3 pilot regions: Mimaropa region, Central Visayas, and Northern Mindanao. In the same year, the PSA Board, which is the highest policy-making body on statistical matters, passed Resolution Number 4, Series of 2021, enjoining government agencies, local government units, and private sectors to provide data support in the generation of the PPA. This marked the start of a significant collaborative effort between the national government, LGUs, and regional and provincial stakeholders. The successful implementation of the PPA in 2021 paved the way for its expansion. In 2022, 6 more regions were added to the PPA compilation: the Cordillera Administrative Region, Calabarzon, Western Visayas, Eastern Visayas, Davao Region, and Sac-Sargent, for a total of 46 provinces and 13 HUC. The momentum continued in 2023 with the inclusion of 7 more regions: Ilocos Region, Cagayan Valley, Central Luzon, Bicol Region, Zamboanga Peninsula, Caraga, and the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao. That year, the PPA also received strong support from the League of Governors through a General Assembly Resolution Number 2023-003, a clear indication of how important the initiative had become for local leaders across the country. The year 2024 marked a significant milestone in the PPA journey. With the inclusion of the National Capital Region, the PPA now covers all 82 provinces and 33 highly urbanized cities across the country. On the 20th of September 2024, the PSA and the Department of the Interior and Local Government signed Joint Memorandum Circular Number 2024-01, formalizing their collaboration and thus ensuring that the collection and analysis of provincial economic data will become a regular and essential part of economic reporting in the Philippines. With the institutionalization of the provincial product accounts in 2025, the journey that began in 2021 with just 3 pilot regions has now become a nationwide effort, empowering provinces and cities to take charge of their economic futures with confidence and data-driven insight.
Provincial Product Accounts, or PPA, is the mechanism of the Philippine Statistics Authority to compile the gross domestic product, or GDP, of the provinces and highly urbanized city, or HUC. The GDP of a province or HUC is measured following an internationally recognized framework, the System of National Accounts, which is also the framework used in the compilation of the regional and national GDP. Using the production approach, the GDP compilation in provincial product accounts covers 16 industries. These are agriculture, forestry, and fishing, mining and quarrying, manufacturing, electricity, steam, water and waste management, construction, wholesale and retail trade, repair of motor vehicles and motorcycles, transportation and storage, accommodation and food service activities, information and communication, financial and insurance activities, real estate and ownership of dwellings, professional and business services,
Public administration and defense, compulsory social security, education, human health and social work activities, and other services. The GDP is compiled by adding together the gross value added of the 16 industries.
Loving and gracious Heavenly Father, we acknowledge your holy presence today. We thank you for you are our infinite source of peace, love, and wisdom. We know that your Holy Spirit guides us and directs us. Lord, we entrust to you everything in our lives. In spite of various challenges that we are facing in our society, we remain steadfast to cling to your words as we believe that you will always make a way for us. As we start to do our job of the week, we always pray for your spiritual guidance and direction because we are nothing without you. We need you, Father God, not only in moments of great difficulty and danger, but in every second of our lives. Lord, we pray for our leaders, from the President down to the lowest position in the government. Grant them with your heavenly wisdom. Help them to live and govern with integrity, and always give them the strength to do what is right for the benefit of everyone. As employees of the government, we likewise pray for your guidance and direction. Guide us in the work we do, that we may do it not for self alone, but for the common good. Teach us always to perform our job faithfully and diligently, so that we will always be a blessing and a source of inspiration to our co-employees, especially to the people who need our services. Give us always the strength to do, patience to bear, and let our courage never fails. All of these things we ask and pray in Jesus' mighty name. Amen.
Magiliw, perlas ng silanganan, alab ng puso, sa dibdib mo'y buhay. Lupang hinirang, duyan ka ng magiting, sa manlulubig, di ka masisiil. Sa dagat at bundok, sa simoy at sa langit mong bughaw, may nilagang tula at awit sa pagkayang minamahal. Ang kislap ng watawat mo'y tagumpay na nagdidingding. Ang bituin at araw niya kailan pa may di magdidilim. Lupa ng araw ng buwan at ipagsinta, buhay langit sa piling mo. Aming ligaya ng pag may mga api, ang mamatay ng dahil.
on behalf of the Macroeconomic Account Service, we welcome you to the national dissemination of the 2024 economic performance of provinces and highly urbanized cities in the Philippines. This event aims to present the latest provincial product estimates to foster informed dialogue among stakeholders and to underscore the relevance of subnational statistics in shaping inclusive and sustainable development strategies. We would like to acknowledge our esteemed guests. So we have participants from various government agencies, media partners, our key stakeholders, and resource persons. First, from the Department of Economy, Planning and Development Regional Development Group, once again, we have Undersecretary Carlos Bernardo Abad Santos. Next, from the Bureau of Local Government Development, DILG, we have Director Annalisa F. Bonagua. And from the Plans, Programs, and Policy of the Union of Local Authorities of the Philippines, we have Director Ralphie Blake Barrios. And lastly, we have our fellow colleagues from the Philippine Statistics Authority. We have our ANS of the Macroeconomic Account Service, Mr. Mark Pascasio. Good afternoon. And the OIC of the Subnational Economic Accounts Division, Ms. LG Gulani Rosenblad. So we are currently live on our official Facebook and YouTube page, in which you may share to your respective social media pages. We express our gratitude to everyone joining us today, and we look forward to an afternoon of collaboration and meaningful discourse. So to formally commence this event with an opening message, please help me welcome our National Statistician and Civil Registrar General, Under Secretary Claire Dennis S. Mapa, through an audio-visual presentation.
Undersecretary Carlos Bernardo Abad Santos of the Regional Development Group of the Department of Economy, Planning and Development, to Director Annalisa Bonagua of the Bureau of Local Government Development of the Department of the Interior and Local Government, Director Ralphie Blake Barrios of the Union of Local Authorities of the Philippines, distinguished guests, valued stakeholders, esteemed data partners from the government and private agencies, representatives from the academic institutions, members of the media, and colleagues from the national government, a pleasant day to all of you. It is both an honor and a privilege that I welcome you all to the first National Dissemination Forum of the Provincial Product Accounts results on the 2024 economic performance of the 82 provinces and 33 highly urbanized cities in the Philippines. We at the Philippine Statistics Authority are truly delighted to share this momentous occasion with all of you who have shown steadfast support and commitment in our journey toward a more data driven, inclusive, and sustainable development path for our country. This year's Provincial Product Accounts, or PPA, compilation is especially meaningful as the Philippine Statistics Authority Board, through Resolution Number 1, Series of 2025, formally institutionalized the Provincial Product Accounts as a regular and permanent statistical program. This marks a significant step forward in our PPA journey, ensuring that every province and highly urbanized city will continue to have annual, timely, and reliable GDP estimates moving ahead. What was once a decade long clamor from our local stakeholders for a provincial level economic statistics is now a reality. Today's National Dissemination Forum is not only to celebrate the success of this year's Provincial Product Accounts compilation, but also to highlight our partnership and collaboration. Behind these achievements are countless stories of collaboration and strong partnerships with our national government agencies, regional line agencies, provincial and local governments, and the leagues of provinces and cities, the Department of the Interior and Local Government, the private sectors, the academic institutions, development partners, and the media. Your unwavering support in the compilation of the provincial product accounts, facilitating coordination, and enabling data sharing has been instrumental in achieving this milestone. On behalf of the Philippine Statistics Authority, I extend my deepest appreciation for your invaluable contributions. One of the highlights of today's presentation is the comparison of the provincial and city and highly urbanized city GDP levels with our national economy. This provides a clear picture of how local economies contribute to national growth and offer deeper insights into regional disparities, emerging growth areas, and the pace of development across territories. Such comparisons help identify strengths and opportunities that can guide more targeted investments and policy interventions. We are also privileged to have with us distinguished resource persons from the Department of the Economy, Planning and Development, the Department of the Interior and Local Government, and the Union of Local Authorities of the Philippines. They will share firsthand how the provincial product account results inform their programs, their strategies, and policy directions. Their perspectives will help us better appreciate how these statistics are used on the ground, supporting development planning, strengthening local economic management, and enhancing coordination across levels of government. As we conclude this year's Provincial Product Accounts compilation and take the next steps, we continually encourage everyone, especially our economic planners and policymakers, to make use of our Provincial Product Accounts results in crafting development plans, aligning sectoral strategies, and monitoring outcomes. To our colleagues in the private sector and academic institutions, these statistics can guide investments, workforce development, and research that strengthen not only the local economies but also our local industries. To our friends in the media, your reporting is essential in bringing this data into public conversation. As we move forward, this gathering serves as a platform to strengthen partnerships, maximize the potential of provincial product account data, and inspire innovative solutions to the challenges ahead. Together, we can harness the power of data to build a future where every Filipino has the opportunity to thrive. Once again, I extend my sincerest gratitude to all of you for your support and participation. May this event be a meaningful step forward in our shared pursuit of sustainable, inclusive, and data-driven development. Maraming salamat at mabuhay tayong lahat.
Segment brings us to the core of this dissemination. So to deliver the highlights of the 2024 Provincial Product Accounts results, please help me welcome the Assistant National Statistician of the Macroeconomic Accounts Service, Mr. Mark C. Pascasio.
Thank you very much, Lloyd. Magandang hapon sa ating lahat. Yusek Taloy, Director Ana, Director Ralphie, our former Deputy National Statistician, Romeo Reside, sa ating lahat. Magandang hapon. So this afternoon, I'll be highlighting the results of our 2024 provincial product accounts. And as you may know, we have already disseminated this to our provinces and the highly urbanized cities. So we'll just be highlighting and later on hearing some of the insights of our resource persons on the importance of the provincial product accounts on various areas. So let me present to you the highlights of the following. First, the economic performance of the Philippines in 2024. Second, the highlights of the 2024 regional economic accounts, which serve as our basis in the estimation of the provincial product accounts. This will include GDP growth by region, share of the regional economies to the national GDP, top regions contributing to the growth of major industries, and comparison of the regional economic structure. And lastly, the results of the 2024 provincial product accounts, which features fastest growing economies in terms of GDP growth, economies with the largest share to the national GDP, performance of major industries by province and HUC, top contributors to the country's largest industries, economies with the fastest growing GDP per capita, and with the highest GDP per capita. I will now begin with the performance of the Philippine economy. In 2024, the Philippine economy registered a growth of 5.7%. With this increase in the country's gross domestic product, the Philippine economy was valued at 22.24 trillion pesos in 2024. Among the three major industries, services contributed the most to the 5.7% growth, with 4.2 percentage points. Industry contributed 1.6 percentage points. Meanwhile, agriculture, forestry, and fishing pulled down the growth by 0.1 percentage point. In terms of 16 production industries, the top three industries that contributed the largest to the 22.24 trillion peso GDP of the country were wholesale and retail trade, repair of motor vehicles and motorcycles, manufacturing, and financial and insurance activities. Collectively, these three industries accounted for 46.8% of the national GDP in 2024. Let us now look at the performance of the 18 regions of the country. In 2024, Central Visayas, Caraga, and Central Luzon registered the fastest GDP growth among regional economies, with 7.3%, 6.9%, and 6.5% growth, respectively. Of the 18 regions, 7 economies expanded faster than the national GDP growth rate. In terms of the share to the national GDP, the National Capital Region led the regions with 31.2% share, followed by its neighboring regions Calabarzon and Central Luzon. The next slides present the top contributors to the national gross value added growth of the three major industries. The agriculture, forestry, and fishing industry of the country posted a decline of 1.5% in 2024. The regions that contributed the most to the decline were Negros Island Region, Western Visayas, and BARM. Industry registered a growth of 5.6% in 2024. The contributors to the growth were Central Luzon, Calabarzon, and National Capital Region. Meanwhile, services expanded by 6.7%. The NCR, Calabarzon, and Central Luzon were the top contributors to the growth. Summarized here is the economic structure of the 18 regional economies. 17 regions are services-based. Meanwhile, Calabarzon is the only region which predominantly industry. Let us now proceed to the 2024 economic performance of the provinces and highly urbanized cities. All 82 provinces and 33 highly urbanized cities posted economic growth in 2024. Eastern Samar recorded the fastest GDP growth among all provinces and HUCs with 10.2% increase. Included also in the top 10 were City of Puerto Princesa, Batanes, Dinagat Islands, Bataan, Bohol, City of Iligan, City of Butuan, Camiguin, and Marinduque. These top 10 economies grew faster than the national GDP growth. In total, 51 economies registered economic growth faster than the country's 5.7% GDP growth in 2024. In terms of share to the 2024 national GDP, Quezon City, City of Makati, and Laguna accounted for the largest share with 6.0%, 5.6%, and 4.9% respectively. Moreover, in 2024, City of Manila joined the three in having a trillion GDP with share of 4.7%. Completing the top 10 sub-regional economies with the largest share to the national GDP were Cavite, Batangas, Bulacan, City of Taguig, Pampanga, and City of Davao. These 10 economies accounted for 39.0% of the national GDP. The next two slides focus on the economic performance of the 82 provinces. The top 10 fastest growing provincial economies in 2024 were Eastern Samar, Batanes, Dinagat Islands, Bataan, Bohol, Camiguin, Marinduque, Siquijor, Tarlac, and Misamis Occidental. Including these 10 economies, a total of 27 provinces registered economic growth faster than the Philippines' GDP growth. In terms of share to the national GDP, Laguna contributed the most, followed by Cavite, Batangas, Bulacan, Pampanga, Cebu, Pangasinan, Rizal, Nueva Ecija, and Bataan. These 10 provinces accounted for 25.7% of the national GDP. Now, let us turn to the economic performance of the 33 highly urbanized cities. The fastest growing HUC in 2023 was the city of Puerto Princesa with a GDP growth of 9.8%. This was followed by City of Iligan at 8.8% and City of Butuan at 8.7%. Completing the top 10 were City of Tacloban, City of Davao, City of Bacolod, City of Makati, City of Malabon, City of Iloilo, and City of Cebu. 24 HUCs registered economic growth faster than the Philippines' GDP growth. In terms of share to the national GDP, the following were the top 10 HUCs with the largest share: Quezon City, City of Makati, City of Manila, City of Taguig, City of Davao, City of Pasig, City of Parañaque, Pasay City, City of Cebu, and City of Mandaluyong. We note that only the cities of Davao and Cebu were HUCs outside NCR. In addition, these 10 HUCs accounted for 30.1% of the national GDP. We will now shift our focus to the performance of major industries by province and HUC. The top 10 economies with the fastest growth in agriculture, forestry, and fishing, or AFF, were Eastern Samar, City of Cebu, Dinagat Islands, Bohol, Marinduque, Leyte, Benguet, Bataan, Cavite, and Surigao del Sur. In terms of share, Bukidnon had the largest share to the 2024 national AFF. It was followed by Nueva Ecija, Pangasinan, Pampanga, Isabela, Batangas, Davao del Norte, Negros Occidental, Tarlac, and Quezon. These 10 economies accounted for 36.3% of the national AFF. Next, in industry, the top 10 fastest growth were recorded in Occidental Mindoro, Isabela, City of Puerto Princesa, City of Malabon, Negros Occidental, Siquijor, Marinduque, Dinagat Islands, Quirino, and Romblon. 67 economies registered growth in industry faster than the Philippines' 5.6% growth in industry. In terms of share, Laguna contributed the most to the 2024 national industry. It was followed by Cavite, Batangas, Bulacan, Pampanga, City of Manila, Bataan, Quezon City, Leyte, and City of Davao. These 10 economies accounted for 44.9% of the total industry of the Philippines. Meanwhile, the top 10 economies with the fastest growth in services were Siquijor, Camiguin, City of Puerto Princesa, City of Iligan, Batanes, City of Butuan, Surigao del Norte, Albay, City of Bacolod, and Negros Oriental. 57 economies registered growth in services faster than the Philippines' 6.7% growth in services. In terms of share, Quezon City and the city of Makati had the largest share to the 2024 national services levels. They were followed by City of Manila, City of Taguig, Laguna, Cavite, City of Pasig, City of Davao, Pasay City, and Bulacan. These 10 economies accounted for 42.5% of the total services of the Philippines. Recall from earlier slides that wholesale and retail trade, repair of motor vehicles and motorcycles, manufacturing, and financial insurance activities were the industries with the largest gross value added to the GDP of the country. We'll now look at the sub-regional economies that contributed the most to each industry. The top contributors to wholesale and retail trade repair of motor vehicles and motorcycles were Quezon City, City of Manila, and City of Makati. In manufacturing, economies with the largest share were Laguna, Cavite, and Batangas. While in financial and insurance activities, top contributors were City of Makati, Quezon City, and City of Manila. In terms of the economic performance of provinces and HUCs by island group, City of Puerto Princesa recorded the fastest GDP growth among all provinces and HUCs in Luzon. Included also in the top 10 were Batanes, Bataan, Marinduque, Tarlac, City of Makati, City of Malabon, Bulacan, City of Angeles, and City of Parañaque. 5 of the largest economies in Luzon are in National Capital Region. 3 are from Calabarzon, and 2 are from Central Luzon, namely Quezon City, City of Makati, Laguna, City of Manila, Cavite, Batangas, Bulacan, City of Taguig, Pampanga, and City of Pasig. Eastern Samar recorded the fastest GDP growth among all provinces and HUCs in Visayas. Included also in the top 10 were Bohol, City of Tacloban, Siquijor, City of Bacolod, Cebu, City of Iloilo, Southern Leyte, City of Cebu, and City of Mandaue. 4 of the largest economies in Visayas are in Central Visayas, 3 from Negros Island region, 2 from Western Visayas, and 1 from Eastern Visayas. Province of Cebu, City of Cebu, Negros Occidental, Leyte, Iloilo, Bohol, Negros Oriental, City of Lapu-Lapu, City of Iloilo, and City of Bacolod. Dinagat Islands recorded the fastest GDP growth among all provinces and HUCs in Mindanao. Included also in the top 10 were City of Iligan, City of Butuan, Camiguin, City of Davao, Misamis Occidental, Surigao del Norte, South Cotabato, City of General Santos, and City of Cagayan de Oro. 4 of the largest economies in Mindanao are in Northern Mindanao, 3 from Soc-Sargen or Region 12, 2 from Davao Region, and 1 from Zamboanga Peninsula. They were City of Davao, City of Cagayan de Oro, Bukidnon, Davao del Norte, Misamis Oriental, City of Zamboanga, South Cotabato, City of General Santos, Misamis Occidental, and Cotabato. For the last part of my presentation, let us look at the per capita GDP of the 82 provinces and 33 highly urbanized cities. Among 82 provinces and 33 HUCs, the city of Makati recorded the highest GDP per capita at 3.89 million pesos. It was followed by Pasay City, City of Mandaluyong, City of San Juan, City of Pasig, City of Manila, City of Parañaque, City of Taguig, City of Muntinlupa, and City of Baguio. All economies in the top 10 are from National Capital Region except for City of Baguio. So I would like to take this opportunity to thank everyone for participating in this National Dissemination Forum. And we'd also like to thank our data partners. Without your support, will not be able to complete and be able to release the provincial product accounts of the 82 provinces and 33 highly urbanized cities. We're looking forward to another collaboration next year as we are going to have an earlier release of the provincial product accounts in 2026. Magandang hapon po sa ating lahat at mabuhay po tayo.
Thank you so much, Ian and Mark. So that was the highlight of the 2024 provincial product results. So for further exploration of the results, you may scan the respective QR codes of the PPA OpenStat and landing page located in the provisional program. So now to give us essential insights on the 2024 provincial product accounts, we now welcome Undersecretary Carlos Bernardo O. Abad Santos from the Department of Economy, Planning and Development Regional Development Group.
Good afternoon to all of the participants to today's Provincial Product Accounts National Dissemination Forum. On behalf of the Department of Economy, Policy, Planning and Development, I would like to thank the Philippine Statistics Authority for convening this National Dissemination Forum on the 2024 results of the provincial product accounts. Again, as NS Mapa said earlier, sabi niya na parang there was a decade of clamor for PSA to finally institutionalize the PPA. Pero our experience, it was a decade and a half because my first work in doing the provincial product account started in 2010. I remember at that time, Governor Amy Marcos just got elected as governor of Ilocos Norte. And she said that part of her first speech was that she committed economic growth for Ilocos Norte of 3% over the next 3 years for her first term. And then at the time, Professor Balisacan told her na, how would you measure that? Because there is no provincial GDP data. So again, at the time, what we would do, we would use the GRDP as a proxy and then do some computation to look at and estimate the profile of the economy. So what we did at the time is that our group, I was still not with NEDA or DepDep at that time, we helped out the province of Ilocos Norte set up their own provincial product account system. It was internal to them. It cannot be related or aligned with the GRDP. But what's important is that what we told them is that what's important is that we have the change from 1 year to 1 year. And as long as you have consistent yung methodology mo, then we can do estimates for every year. At that time, we asked PSA if they had 2 pilots at the time. Guimaras and Palawan. So we asked them, can you do it for other provinces? And PSA said that at this time, we are not yet ready to do that. So 2010, and we were able to actually install it. But again, the problem is that it takes a lot of resources and efforts to set up a provincial product account system, especially if you don't have the institutional architecture to do that, right? If gagawin internally by the province, they'll have to hire. And again, it's also difficult that the province will do it because they're also measuring their own growth, and we don't like that. It opens up a lot of other issues. When I got to NEDA in 2014, again, the clamor within NEDA was also there. Again, our regional directors were clamoring because they said that the governors really wanted to monitor the growth of the respective provinces. And what we did, again, we approached PSA. PSA said that we are doing the studies right now. We are now preparing, but we can't do it currently. So what we did, we funded also studies. Particularly, we did one for Calabarzon. And then we had a lot of very good insights from that pilot study in Calabarzon. Like again, the provinces within a region can be very diverse. And so like you would see that again, while industry was there for Laguna, Cavite, you have a different configuration for Quezon, right? So if you don't have this more granular data and information, it's difficult for the provinces to plan. Again, in 2019, with what we did a scoping study again for the entire country already. And then we're glad because again, subsequently and eventually, PSA um, did the methodology, they finalized the methodology, they piloted it, and now finally we have this full data set already covering all provinces and covering all HUCs. So again, thank you very much and congratulations to PSA. Palakpakan niyo naman sarili ninyo. So we have been very excited since the release of the PPA results. And again, let's now first look at the results of the latest provincial product accounts. It was already presented, but again, here in terms of the fastest growing provinces, we note that Eastern Samar recorded the fastest annual growth of 10.2%. The only province to record a double-digit growth in 2024. Meanwhile, Puerto Princesa City recorded the fastest annual GDP growth of 9.8% among highly urbanized cities or HUCs. Again, what are the common drivers of high growth provincial economies and HUC economies? Again, we've seen services-led growth. We've seen construction as a major growth and the engine. We have industry-based outperformers. We've noticed a small base elasticity, and we've seen a broad-based expansion despite contraction in the agri, forestry, and fisheries sector. Now, what does these patterns mean for the regional growth strategy? For services-led growth, these high-performing provinces share a strong reliance on services, especially tourism, trade, and transport. Tourism recovery and improved logistics consistently lifted their economies, as seen in Eastern Samar, Camiguin, Bohol, and Siquijor. Construction as a growth engine. In this case, construction played a major role across provinces, and both public works and private building activity created jobs and stimulated local demand. This mirrors the national trend where construction grew over 10%. For industry-based outperformers, some provinces grew rapidly because of strong industrial bases. Dinagat's mining surge, Bataan's energy and industrial projects, and Tarlac's expanding industrial estates and advanced manufacturing. We have observed a small base elasticity, with smaller provinces like Batanes and Camiguin achieve high percentage growth because even modest gains in tourism or services or even in agriculture translate into large jumps relative to their economic base. And again, there's one curious instance where Bukidnon has a very, very big share of agri, both for Region 10 and for the entire country, and yet the growth in agriculture was flat. And then Camiguin, you have a very small surge in the agriculture and the agriculture production, and then it recorded a very high growth rate, right? So the people, the leaders in Bukidnon were telling us why we're the biggest, why, and we were explaining that again, the agri sector of Bukidnon is 100 times that of Camiguin. So isang pitik lang ng Camiguin, and it's gonna be high. So again, we have to again, which was presented the way it was presented earlier. Growth rates were presented, but also the share was presented. These are two very important areas because again, if you only look at one, then again, it might send a very, very wrong signal, especially to your stakeholders. Especially to your stakeholders. So again, um, and then finally, um, despite agriculture contracting nationally, the fastest growing provinces compensated through services, construction, and industry, showing that diversified economies are more resilient. So what are key takeaways from, again, this 2024 provincial product accounts data release? As we have seen, our provinces continue to register positive growth, each with unique strengths and opportunities. Industry and services remain key drivers, while agriculture continues to require modernization and resilience building. Looking ahead, targeted strategies such as strengthening agri-fishery value chains, fostering innovation, enhancing connectivity, and promoting inclusive development will be essential to sustaining growth and reducing regional disparities. In terms of the implication for regional development, of which again, my group and my area in DepDev um, looks at, first, for DepDev, the PPA continues to be one of our most powerful tools in understanding the economic performance of our provinces, HUCs. Again, coupled also with the information of the labor force survey, information on inflation, on the CPI, and information on poverty, which again, we are so glad that PPA has expanded the sampling size to be able to have provincial representation for these macro indicators. So we're so happy that finally we already have that growth data for the province to again complement our assessment, our analysis, and our planning at the provincial level. It provides a clearer view of where growth is happening, which sectors are driving development, and where strategic interventions are needed. For us, in the development planning and regional coordination sphere, the PPA is essential for grounding national priorities at the local level. It strengthens our evidence base as we shape policies that promote balanced regional development, improve spatial equity, and accelerate inclusive growth across 18 regions. For evidence-based planning, the 2024 PPA results give us detailed GDP data by province and industry. This helps us see which sectors are driving growth and which need support, so we can prioritize infrastructure and target interventions where they matter most. For regional development alignment, by comparing provincial contributions, we can balance urban and rural development, create complementary strategies, and design integrated supply chains and labor programs. LGUs can also use PPA data to align local plans with regional and national priorities. In coordination with DepDev regional offices, The provincial local government units play an active role in setting growth targets and implementing programs across agriculture, services, and industry sectors. And in terms of resource allocation and investment, the data guides budget allocation and investment promotion, highlighting provincial strengths like ICT hubs, agro-industrial clusters, and tourism potential. As an important tool for policy analysis, the PPA allows us to measure policy effectiveness, see what's working, and recalibrate strategies as needed. And for risk management and resilience, it helps us in understanding sectoral dependence and helps us spot vulnerabilities and design strategies to make local economies more resilient. Now I'll just go through. We asked. We did summarize what happened was that after the dissemination of the PPA at the regional level, our regional offices did some analysis and insights in terms of the PPA results. So we'd like now to present very short our um, um, our take on the results, no, of the PPA per region. For NCR, the NCR economy reached almost 7 trillion pesos in 2024 and grew by 5.6%. Again, as indicated earlier on, services dominated the regional economy at 5.76 trillion, while industry contributed 1.2 trillion. The fastest growing local economies were Makati, Malabon, Parañaque, Pasay, and Pasig, reflecting gains across both services and industry. Overall, NCR's growth remains anchored on its diverse urban economy, sustained by strong business activity, financial services, and continued expansion in major service-based sectors. For Cordillera, the economy of Cordillera is dominated by Baguio City and the province of Benguet. Again, while other provinces also posted positive growths, the disparities in economic performance were evident. The growth of the manufacturing and services sectors in Ifugao and Kalinga indicates increasing rural diversification, yet the urban-rural gap underscores the need for more balanced and inclusive regional growth. Ilocos region posted 4.9% economic growth in 2024, and the growth in the economy is led by Pangasinan and followed by La Union. The agriculture sector led in Pangasinan and Ilocos Norte, while trade, construction, and services drive La Union and Ilocos Sur, highlighting opportunities to leverage provincial strengths. However, disparities across provinces call for balanced development through stronger agri-value chains, workforce upskilling, improved financing, and coordinated regional planning. Again, when you look at it from the poverty angle, we've seen Ilocos Sur and Pangasinan that have high poverty levels. So again, it's important to again look at how these provinces can complement, increase their connectivity, so that again you build stronger agglomeration economies. Cagayan Valley posted economic growth in 2024, supported by steady expansion across all 5 provinces, while Batanes recorded the highest growth rate at 9.6%. Isabela contributed to have the largest share to GRDP, followed by Cagayan. It has quite a high contribution of their AFF. However, the AFF contracted due to El Nino and typhoons, highlighting the need for resilience and modernization. Distinct provincial strengths present opportunities for diversification, particularly agro-processing in Isabela, and rice and corn value chains in Cagayan. Investments in infrastructure, airports, ports, renewable energy, and digital connectivity will further boost trade, tourism, and competitiveness. Central Luzon posted strong 6.5% economic growth in 2024, reinforcing its position as the third largest regional economy in the country. All provinces and highly urbanized cities grew, with Tarlac, Bataan, and Bulacan leading the fastest growing economies. Despite robust growth, Central Luzon faces structural constraints, including high logistics costs, skill gaps, fragmented agriculture, and vulnerability to natural hazards. Strategic priorities include modernizing agriculture, enhancing infrastructure and connectivity, and promoting climate-smart development. Calabarzon posted a steady economic growth in 2024 led by Batangas and Rizal, with Laguna remaining as a top contributor to the regional economy, followed by Cavite and Batangas. Industry, particularly manufacturing in Laguna, Cavite, and Batangas, continue to drive growth supported by industrial zones, export-oriented businesses, energy and infra projects. Key priorities include expanding manufacturing and servicification to create higher value added, supporting our MSMEs through technology, finance, and e-commerce. Mimaropa's economy grew by 4.4%, with all provinces posting positive growth with varied trajectories. However, Occidental Mindoro and Palawan recorded slower growth due to challenges in agriculture, industry, and disaster impacts. Agriculture, forestry, and fisheries remain vital, though disaster-affected areas saw declines, highlighting the need for climate-resilient practices, smart agriculture, and flood-resistant infrastructure. Bicol region's economy grew by 4.9%, and growth was driven by the industry and services sector, while the AFF sector continued to face challenges due to weather disturbances. Key priorities for Bicol region include strengthening rural economies through climate-resilient agriculture and infrastructure, supporting industry and services via digitalization and MSME development. Western Visayas grew by 4.3%, which is valued at 641 billion. While Iloilo grew only by 1.4%, it still led the regional economy with a share of 219 billion, followed by Iloilo City, Capiz, and Aklan. Performance in Visayas was driven largely by the services sector. Hence, there's a need to strengthen industry and agriculture in lagging provinces. Our newest region, again, the data is very important as we are now doing the the regional development plan for NIR. So while the other regions are doing their medium-term update, DepDev NIR is doing the regional development plan for NIR. And again, the data sets provided by the PPA is very important for planning, for development planning, both at the regional level and at the provincial level. NIR recorded a 5.9% economic expansion, with gross regional domestic product of 636 billion. So again, after reconfiguring Region 6 and NAR, we have both Region 6 and NAR having almost the same, the same GDP, hovering between 600 plus billion. Oriental grew by 5.4%, but Agri declined due to the Mount Canlaon eruption, again highlighting the need for climate resilient farming. Negros Occidental is the region's largest contributor, yet its agriculture sector faces urgent modernization needs. These results underscore key priorities: revitalizing agriculture, strengthening industry and services linkages, and improving urban to rural integration. Central Visayas reached almost 1.3 trillion and posted economic growth in 2024, led by services in urban centers, while agriculture continues to face challenges. These results highlight the need for targeted evidence-based planning, supporting agriculture in lagging provinces, sustaining industrial and service growth in urban hubs, and investing in infrastructure and human capital. Eastern Visayas growth remains services-led, with Eastern Samar leading at 10.2% and Tacloban City at 8.2%, fueled by tourism, professional services. Provinces with strong connectivity and infrastructure perform better, while areas facing bottlenecks like Northern Samar grew more slowly. So again, that's a need to improve connectivity in the Northern Samar area, improving the connectivity to Region 5 and to the rest of Region 8. These results highlight key policy directions like enhancing connectivity through bridges, ports, and airports, and diversifying manufacturing services. Zamboanga Peninsula sustained positive growth across all provinces and city, led by Zamboanga City at 4.9% and Zamboanga del Sur at 4.8%. Industry and services showed resilience with strong gains in manufacturing, trade, and construction. However, agriculture and fisheries face persistent declines, underscoring the need for innovation and targeted investments in agri-fishery development and secured the region's vision as the country's center for sustainable agri-fisheries industry. And I think the AFF sector is very important, mainly because the highest poverty rates are in Region 9. Again, it's even higher than BARM. So again, now it's a big challenge now that we again improve the overall economy of Region 9, but more so in the agri-fisheries and forestry sector, more of the agri and the fishery sector. We need to boost the agriculture production, and again also the fisheries, because you have a very very big potential for fisheries in Region 9, and again the highest rates, the sectors with the highest poverty rates would be your the farming and the fishery sector. So again, this is a very important area in terms of development planning and in terms of coordinating economic and social development in the Zamboanga Peninsula. Northern Mindanao economy grew by 6% in 2024, entering the trillion peso mark at 1.04 trillion, ranking it sixth nationwide. Cagayan de Oro, Bukid City, Bukidnon, and Misamis Oriental were top contributors to the regional economy. Growth is driven by services industry through inclusive development and agri-modernization. And agri-modernization remains priorities, which highlights the need for inclusive development and agriculture modernization. Yun here, magkatabi lang yung Cagayan de Oro and Bukidnon, and yet you see Cagayan de Oro having very, very high services and manufacturing growth, and you have Bukidnon, which has a very high percentage of the agri. Again, it puts a lot of I don't know, um, by 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 linking these industries, right? By linking your agri um, to manufacturing and to services, then you might see a lot of bigger value added. But again, um, you have issues like the high cost of electricity and transport costs. So again, these are the challenges for the Northern Mindanao economy. For Davao region, Davao City, again, remains as its economic engine. Contributed to more than half, no? 53.1% to the regional output with a 7.9% growth led by industry and construction. So again, I think it's important for Region 11 to sort of, again, deconcentrate the economic growth and economic opportunities um, in Davao City, and again bring it to the other provinces outside of Davao City. Agriculture continues to lag in the provinces due to climate risks, threatening rural livelihoods. To sustain growth, the Davao Region Development Plan has modernizing agriculture, responsibly expanding industry, and diversified and upskill services, foster innovation, strengthen connectivity for inclusive rural development. Soxargen, the Soxargen economy grew by 5.5% in 2024, led by South Cotabato and General Santos City, not only in terms of contribution to the regional economy, but also in terms of growth. Growth was modest and uneven, driven by services and industry, while agriculture showed moderate gains, highlighting opportunities for modernization. And Caraga's economy grew by 6.9% in 2024, driven by high growth rates in Dinagat Islands, Butuan City, and Surigao del Norte. Agriculture grew on the back of poultry and crops, led by Agusan del Sur and Dinagat Islands. The region plans to modernize agriculture, develop industry via economic zones and processing hubs, and strengthen services through transport, tourism, and ICT. And finally, the farm economy grew by 2.7% in 2024, with growth led by Maguindanao del Norte and Lanao del Sur. Provincial performance was mixed, reflecting uneven recovery across the region. Farm's largest sector, the agri-fisheries and forestry, posted declines across provinces, underscoring vulnerability to climate and production shocks. Industry grew modestly and driven by pockets of construction and manufacturing, while services expanded steadily, particularly in Lanao del Sur and Maguindanao del Norte. I think what's important for BARM, we saw poverty drop significantly. However, again, that might have been led by a lot of subsidies, a lot of government assistance. Again, we want the economy to also follow the trend, no? So because to sustain again the poverty alleviation in the poverty reduction in BARM. We've already hit that. We just hope that that is sustained. And again, what will sustain that is that, again, you want your economy to grow so that decent jobs are are created within the BARM. So with that, thank you very, very much. I took quite some time, but then thank you so much. And again, we're looking forward to, again, the next cycle of this. Again, isang tawad lang po namin na baka kaya pang mapaaga ang release ng PPA. Again, pressure to which again would help in terms of, again, I was thinking in terms of planning for the budget of the next year, right? So that would help. So yun lang po ang ano ko, ang what I would nudge PSA. With that, thank you very much, and again, uh, let's have a productive afternoon ahead of us.
Results from the regional development. So up next, to present detailed insights on the 2024 PPA results, please help me welcome Director Annalisa F. Bonaga of the Bureau of Local Government Development.
ANS Mark Cascacio, and our colleagues from ULAC, Director Ralphie Blake Barrios, and our Division Chief LG Gulane Rosenblatt. Marami po ay magandang hapon po sa ating lahat, sa ating po mga colleagues here from government, from the private sector and civil society organization. Magandang hapon po sa ating lahat. On behalf of the DILG, particularly Secretary Juan Victor Janvic Remulla, we congratulate the Philippine Statistics Authority for this new initiative. Sabi nga ni Yusek Caloy, parang natandaan ko pa po yun, si Yusek sumulong pa, buhay pa po yung dating Yusek ng DILG when he was asking us to coordinate with NEDA for a provincial product account, sir. So, finally, after 15 years, to be exact, kasi natandaan ko po 2010, nung lumalapit kami sa NEDA. So, congratulations to PSA for finally coming up with the with the provincial product account. The development of the provincial product accounts, a measure of gross domestic product at the sub-national level, particularly for the provinces and highly urbanized cities, providing economic performance data for each province and highly urbanized city, and presents a comprehensive picture of the local economy, which highlights the economic potential and resilience of individual provinces and helps promote balanced regional development. As comprehensively presented by ANS Rascasio and Yusek Caloy, no? Hindi na kailangan ulitin. Napakaganda na nung presentation. The provincial product accounts provides for the economic picture of the subnational level, enabling evidence-based planning, policy formulation, and investment decisions by local government units and even other stakeholders. It allows for the tracking of economic growth, identifying challenges, developing strategies for inclusive and balanced local economic development. It shows which sector, as presented comprehensively kanina, contribute to the most to the local economy, and whether agriculture, services, and industry. So the local government units can focus on what will bring the greatest benefits and returns to their constituency. Simply put, the provincial product accounts gives local government units reliable information to plan smarter, invest wisely, and support local inclusive growth. For our investors and businesses, the PPA will inform investment decisions, highlighting the strengths and the potential of a specific province or city, as well as attract investments in industries that provinces excels in or have more room for growth. To maximize the benefits of this new measure, it is imperative to disseminate more, as well as provide capacity building for its better understanding, for alignment to other data systems among other agencies. Supported by simple, easy-to-use tools, that convert this technical data into practical guidance to our local government units. Given this, the DILG commits to enjoining local government units to use the provincial product accounts data results in formulating their local plans and investment programs, especially that next year, that's the year after local election, that the LGUs are updating their comprehensive development plans. Paired with the results of other statistical system and CBMS, this will provide comprehensive understanding of the local situation and needs of their constituencies. So the DILG reaffirms also our commitment and its continued support to the Philippine Statistical Authority as it pursues initiative aimed at advancing data-driven local governance now and in the future. So with this, congratulations po ulit sa Philippine Statistical Authority. Maraming salamat at we are enjoining all our partners as we provide assistance in capacitating and informing our local government units for the better use of this new information for planning, investment programming, and even targeting of their programs and projects. Marami pong salamat. Congratulations po ulit. Magandang hapon po sa inyong lahat.
PPA results from the Bureau of Local Government Development perspective. So now, let us hear some essential insights from a different perspective. Please help me welcome Director Ralphie Blake Barrios of the Plans, Programs, and Policy Union of Local Authorities of the Philippines.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Yusek Carlos Bernardo Abad Santos, Director Ana Bonagua, our friend from the ILG, ANS, Mark Pescasio, good afternoon, and good afternoon to our colleagues and partners. In the Union of Local Authorities of the Philippines, we often use and maybe overuse a phrase that we often say, the future is local. And we believe that ultimately, under the best laid plans of mice and men, the country's trajectory will increasingly depend on how well each province and each city or municipality manages its own economic transformation. For ULAP, three core insights matter the most from the presentation of the PPA. First, growth is widespread, but it is uneven. Yes, all provinces and HUCs posted positive economic performance, yet the spread tells another story. Some areas are accelerating rapidly, while others grow closer to the national average. Positively, this means momentum is no longer concentrated in a handful of local government units or a handful of urban corridors. But it also means that convergence may not be happening organically. Without intentional, place-sensitive interventions, spatial inequality will persist even if the period is broad growth. The second insight is that the PPA exposes the economic identities and vulnerabilities of localities. And we believe that this insight is very important in order for us to come up with a data-driven, evidence-based decision-making, not only at the national, but also at the local level. So provinces with strong industrial bases are expanding steadily. That's what we found out. But tourism-driven areas are rebounding but remain fragile. Agricultural economies continue to grow but under the heaviest climate and market pressures. The PPA shows which local economies are diversified and resilient and which ones are dependent on single sectors that can collapse on a shock. And also, in a way, the PPA then becomes a risk map. It is a call for LGUs to shift from broad planning to active economic stewardship, deciding which sectors to reinforce, which risks require hedging, and which public investments will actually raise productivity. Because by now looking at the data provided for in the PPAs, the local governments will be able to actually determine which of the sectors contribute at which amount to their local economic development. And so they will be able now to to decide, make decisions, and make programs, budget based on this data provided for by the PPA. Third insight would be that institutionalizing the PPA should fundamentally change how local and national cooperation works. Using annual granular data, which is now made available by the PPA, national agencies would be in a better position to treat localities as non-interchangeable. Industrial provinces need power and logistics. Agricultural provinces need climate finance and value chain support. HUCs evolving into service and logistic hubs need mobility systems and labor housing. In other words, the PPA allows the national government to identify which support it should provide in certain regions or in certain provinces based on the sectors that those provinces or HUCs are focusing on. And as we say, if the future is local, then national programs cannot remain uniform. We've always championed the idea that ultimately local government units are all different, they're diverse, not one local government unit is the same, and so on. And the PPA is the evidence that that is real, and that it also shows us that we should now move towards a differentiated place-based policy, and the only way to translate national goals is for these programs to actually be localized based on the actual context of the local government units. And so for the Union of Local Authorities of the Philippines, the message is quite straightforward. The PPA must become a working tool that positions the local government units as economic managers, not merely as program implementers. Because now they have this data, they can position themselves in a better spot where they could advance local economic development. And so the local councils, for instance, should use these the PPA data to justify investments. National agencies should use it to target support, and both sides should use it to confront disparities. At the very least, we should agree on a minimum use case of the PPAs for the CLUPs, CDPs, PDP-FPs, and local investment programming. We should be able to identify both at the national and local level in which areas the PPAs will be beneficial, particularly for planning or for at a programmatic level. Practically, what this means is that local government units will not only be able to describe themselves as agricultural or industrial, they can also show the actual sectoral structure of their provincial GDP and the trajectory of that structure over time. A province where services already account for over half of the output should not and cannot continue to tag its province as primarily agricultural or vice versa. In manufacturing and logistics, if the province clearly shows that its driving growths are manufacturing logistics, then investments in ports, power reliability, and transport corridors become necessities rather than mere political choices. Conversely, for tourism-driven provinces and HUCs, the data justify prioritizing connectivity, safety, and skills, not just more tourism-related activities. PPAs can be used as a design input also for interlocal cooperation, meaning that interlocal partnerships can now be informed by the PPAs based on the sectors that they could actually work together in. And the PPA finally strengthens something local governments have long asserted, that development is territorial. And if we want national progress that is resilient, inclusive, and real for our communities, then we must plan, invest, and govern in ways that recognize our diverse economic realities. Because ultimately, the future is local. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Director Ralphie. So we have heard various insights on the 2024 PPA results, and we hope that these perspectives have contributed to your understanding on the importance of evidence-based statistics in driving our economy. So at this juncture, we proceed to another highlight of this event, the open forum. So for us to foster a smooth discourse on the 2024 PPA results, you may ask your inquiries by raising your hand and use the conference microphone placed at the center of your table. So please state your name and affiliation, as well as the name of the resource person whom your question is addressed. Again, to foster a smooth discourse on the 2024 PPA results open forum, you may ask your inquiries by raising your hand and use the conference microphone placed at the center of your table. So please state your name and affiliation, as well as the name of the resource person whom your question is addressed. So can I request our fellow resource persons to please proceed here on stage for our open forum. So without further ado, let's now open the floor for your questions. So you may raise your hands po if you have any inquiries, suggestions, insights, clarifications on the results presented earlier. Please don't hesitate to raise your hand. Do we have any questions from our fellow participants here on site? Okay, sir. Good morning. Good afternoon.
Maraming salamat sa pagkakataong ito. No, and I'd like to greet everyone. And I am Romeo Reside of the PSA 8 years ago. Okay, so gusto ko lang, no particular question, pero gusto ko lang magdagdag sa mga insights na narinig na natin. The first one is this. Alam niyo kung anong pagkakaiba ng isang accountant at saka isang scientist? Statistician. Statistician. Yung accountant daw, meron siyang parts, tapos ina-add up niya to get the total. Pero yung statistician iba. Meron siyang total, ang challenge sa kanya, paano niya paghihiwa-hiwalayin. Disaggregation ang tawag natin doon. Kaya maraming tao, narinig nila yung GDP, GVA, performance of the economy for the Philippines, the whole country. Tapos, pag tinanong sila, ay paano ang performance ng isang probinsya? Hindi namin alam eh. Sasabihin ng mga tao, paano nyo nalalaman yung kabuuan na hindi nyo alam yung parts? So, yun ang trabaho ng statistician. Alam niya yung estimate ng buo, pero kung paano paghiwa-hiwalayin, hindi niya kaagad nagagawa. Mahirap yun. Yung initiative natin na i-disaggregate yung national performance of the economy at the national level to different regions noong una, tapos provinces ngayon, sabi nga ng ating mga kasama, nag-umpisa yan noon pa, more than a decade ago. And then as director of the Bureau of Agricultural Statistics, and then later on sa PSA, I was involved in this question. Ano nga ba ang performance ng bawat economy sa probinsya? Naikwento sa atin ni Yusek Caloy yung gustong mangyari ng Ilocos Norte, no, under the governor then, si Amy Marcos. Pero even as early as, katulad ng sabi ni Director Annalisa, even as early as 15 years ago, meron na tayong attempt. Saan nag-umpisa? Walaan nyo kung saan. Anong probinsya? Okay, to give you a hint. Pag nag-account ka ng performance ng isang economy, kailangan ano siya, yung nakahiwalay. Kasi mahirap malaman kung yung activity ba, Tarlac ba ito o ano mga kapitbahay ng Tarlac? Pag merong nagtanim dito, nakatira doon, o kaya nagtanim dito, doon ibinenta, mahirap i-distinguish yung between economies. So, ang pinakamadali, kailangan yung probinsya ay island. Para naka-delineate yung activities within the island. So, kung meron mang pumasok, matitrace mo either sa lipad ng hangin o kaya yung sa boats o kaya, anyway, kailangan hiwalay. So, kailangan island. Saan tayo nag-umpisa? Sa Palawan. Kaya noong araw pa lang, meron na tayong attempt na mag-account ng performance ng economy ng Palawan. Tapos, hindi tayo nakontento. Wala tayong PPA for Palawan, ha? Pero meron tayong mga attempts for accounting for activities in Palawan. Hindi tayo nakontento. Hindi lang Palawan, dinagdag natin ang Guimaras. So, naging Palawan at saka Guimaras. Tapos hanggang doon na lang. Tapos nagkaroon tayo ng consultant sa NEDA, si Dr. Cororaton, na ginawa natin ng special project at nilimit niya sa provinces ng Calabarzon. Okay. So, from then on, marami tayong usapan with Dr. Cororaton kung paano gagawin yung PPAs. That was around what? 2016, 15? Pinanganak na ng PSA at that time. So, when I was the Deputy National Statistician for Sectoral Statistics Office, ito yung isa sa mga concerns na iniwan namin at that time, yung idea ng PPA. So, ang sharing ko ngayon is that after having retired for 8 years, I'm so glad na yung iniwan ko na objective natin noon ay nagkaroon din ng bunga nitong PPA. I'd like to emphasize na hindi madali. Hindi madali. It took us 15 years to produce something that is useful here. Pero ang gusto kong i-emphasize na ngayon is that yung pasasalamat natin hindi sa PSA. Ang papasalamat natin sa users na ang kukulit. No? Mula sa DepDep, mula sa DLG, mula sa ULAP, at saka lahat ng sectors ng industry, including the media perhaps. No? Na having come up with, consistently coming up with this desire, expressing this desire, and leaving the statistical system with no choice but to do its best to come up with something to respond to this very need. Okay? So maraming salamat sa lahat for keeping this pressure on the PSA to do this product. And hindi pa tapos. Kasi sabi ni Yusek Kaloy, it's not enough na you are producing this. Ano na ngayon? December 2025. Ano yung report natin? Performance ng provincial economies in 2024 after how many months? After 12 months. Ang request ngayon ni Yusek Kaloy sana daw mas maaga. Yung 2025 ay sana mas maaga sa 2026. I cannot promise Yusek Kaloy, but siguro si Mark can promise of that, and we can ask him to comment on this particular timetable that we are trying to do for the next version of the PPAs for the provinces. So again, maraming salamat sa inyong lahat for keeping the pressure, and of course, maraming salamat sa PSA for coming up to the challenge. Okay? So maraming salamat sa inyong lahat. Thank you.
Welcome to the Provincial Product Accounts National Dissemination Forum 2024 Economic Performance of the 82.
Binabanggit niya, alam niya yung journey ng ating provincial product accounts. Well, as mentioned by Yusek Kaloy earlier, and we also understand the clamor of our data users on, syempre, mas maaga na datos, no, para sa pag-craft ng mga polisiya at programa. That's why our national statistician, I think during our second quarter directorate meeting, or the third quarter directorate meeting, instructed us we have to release the provincial product accounts much earlier. Ang response natin, sige po NS, we will check the feasibility of releasing this earlier than what we are currently doing, no? Currently, yung ating release ay September. We had our first dissemination forum in September, on September 25. And natapos po tayo ng ating series of dissemination forums on October 16. But what we are planning next year is we will be releasing it on August 28. That's already part of our work program next year. So this is a month earlier, looking into the data, no, the timeliness of the provision of data. As mentioned by Sir Myong kanina, highly dependent yung ginagawa natin na mga economic accounts on the data that are provided to us by our data partners. So without this information, we'll not be able to disaggregate the national accounts, the regional accounts into the provincial product accounts. Given what we had studied, no, dun sa mga timing ng mga releases ng mga datos, yung August 28 yung tinitingnan namin, we'll be releasing it nationally, including all the statistical tables, but the dissemination forums that will happen dun sa mga 18 regions for all the provinces and HUCs will still happen in September to October. But at least we will be providing our data users a month earlier than what we had this year. But again, we would like to thank everyone for the provision of data. This initiative will not be possible without the collaboration of our data partners and of course our data users.
Thank you so much, DNS Romeo, and also ANS Mark. So do we have any further questions po from our fellow participants? How about from our media partners? Do you have any questions, clarifications? Okay, sir.
I think my question now is, it goes, thank you so much for, again, this, having, again, institutionalized this to all provinces and HUCs. I think the next question on our end is that, again, in terms of the capacity building, right? Both for the provincial LGUs, again, important for the PPDOs and the PPDCs to sort of, I don't know, have a grasp and a good understanding of the data sets, including na rin yung FICE, no? And then I was also thinking in terms of the different line agencies, right? Because again, they need to appreciate the data to be able to, for, let's say, DOE to look at, let's say, the growth of the, the expenditures for energy, and for the rest of the different sectors. So again, I was thinking in terms of what would be the plan of PSA, and how would they interface now with, let's say, BILG and ULAP in terms of this capacity building for for the different stakeholders of the PPA.
Yeah, thank you, Yusek Aloy. Well, we anticipated that given that we have already institutionalized the compilation of the provincial product accounts, syempre mas magiging aware and mas magiging maraming tanong, no? Yung ating mga data users on how are we going to interpret results. As mentioned by Yusek Kaloy kanina, importante hindi lang yung growth rates because of small economy elasticity. Konting ano lang yan, konting galaw lang dun sa levels, it would really change the percent change of the economic performance of a province or highly urbanized city. That's why you also need to come up with the share, no? With the share of these provinces and HUCs. That's why what we are intended to do next year is really to have this dialogues and the capacity development activities with our local government units. It's really where the data will be used for. I mean, in local government planning. Kaya part of our work program moving forward, particularly next year, is really to collaborate with our LGUs. To explain further, actually yung iba ngayong taon nagsisimula na silang invite yung PSA to discuss how to interpret results. Paano ba namin yan gagamitin? Anong ibig sabihin kapag nag-grow siya ng ganitong kalaki or kababa? Anong storya kapag malaki yung share niya or mas maliit yung share niya compared with the others? So these are some of the, siguro para sa atin na nakakaintindi, madali lang, no? Pero for those na hindi talaga ganun pa kasanay gumamit ng datos, particularly the economic accounts, we have to further explain how this happened, how this were computed, how this will be integral in the crafting of policies and programs. That's why we have, Yusek, we have programmed this for next year. We just need to strategize. Hindi naman lahat ng 82 provinces at yung 33 highly urbanized cities ay mapupuntahan, but we'll be collaborating with the ILG. I've been talking with your colleague, Director Ana. We will be collaborating with the ILG and of course with our partners from the region, yung ating mga regional offices and the provincial offices. Sila din talaga yung magpupush ng how you're gonna be communicating and educating yung ating mga data users. Of course, with the help of the central office technical staff ng PSA. Thank you.
Thank you, Sir Mark, and also to you, Sir Carlos. So do we have any questions? Okay, Miss LG.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm LG Golani Rosenblatt. I have some question lang for Director Ana now. But before that, I would like to thank. Before that, I would like to thank the ILG for the approval of our joint memorandum circular. That one was really useful for smoothing out the collection and the provision of the municipal data from different provinces. But other than that, moving forward, ma'am, is it possible that we can also include one of the as criteria of the seal of local governance, because there are still some, pabibilang lang naman, that are hesitant really to provide us data because of confidentiality and such. So with the inclusion in the seal of local governance for the provinces or the municipality, maybe this will be also strengthen us our data collection. As we know, local or municipal data is really important in the compilation, is into a more disaggregated with the provincial, and maybe on later, we don't know, there are some clamor now on the municipal GDP, but for us to prepare on that, we need to strengthen our data support at the municipal level. That's all po. Thank you.
Marami pong salamat sa inyong faith sa Seal of Good Local Governance. Mag-update lang po kami. The Seal of Good Local Governance right now is undergoing a reformulation, reprogramming. We want to focus on the output, outcome, and impact rather than monitoring and assessing the inputs by the local government units. Kasi kalimitan ay inputs. May plano, may budget, may tao, may office. So, ganun. But then, hindi na-relate dun sa actual outcome nung bakit mo nilagyan ng tao budget. So, nonetheless, We are in full support of the generation of the provincial product accounts, as the local government units will benefit more as well, knowing the actual local situation, economic situation within their localities, and which sector to focus more and to support more. So yun yung ano natin. The seal of good local governance, actually when it was formulated, is a performance assessment. Minsan kasi yung ibang nakikita natin, just to ensure that the LGU support or comply with certain requirement, nilalagay namin sa seal. It becomes to be a compliance mechanism. So baka po ang nagiging trajectory natin is we include an indicator in the seal of good local governance when it is already mature, when we already have provided technical assistance at naniningil na tayo ng performance. So, but nonetheless, in full support, ma'am, ang DILG sa provincial product accounts, particularly una sa dissemination, sa gathering of data. Kung ma-institutionalize lang natin that this become to be an annual exercise, becomes to be a habit of local government units submitting certain set of data to the PSA, as well as receiving as well ano yung results of the data that they have provided you. So we will be in partnership. Hindi ko lang po ma-assure na it will be in the seal of good local governance, but we will make sure that we will support and generate mobilized support from local government units.
Well, thank you, Director Ana, for the support. No? But itong ating gagawin talaga na PPA will really be an annual activity na po natin to. Since we have already completed our PPAs last year, and we have institutionalized the compilation of this year, ano na po to, annual na po natin gagawin to. That's why we're really banking on the support of the local government units in the provision of additional data. Kasi we have the surveys naman, but of course, we still need a lot of information so that we can put up the GDP of the provinces and HUCs. Itong sinasabi natin na early release next year, na August 28, titingnan po natin kung is this really be the most visible na time to release yung ating PPA. As we have mentioned, there's an instruction from our NS na earlier release talaga, no? But what we had now is ito po muna yung ma-offer namin na earlier release. But we still believe na mas kailangan pa talaga ng ating mga users yung mas maagang provision ng datos. Pero we'll still check whether marami tayong makukuhang datos. Ano bang implication nito if we will be having additional updated, revised data next year. Kasi doon po natin makikita din kung gaano ka-robust yung ating estimates. Given na possible hindi pa kompleto yung mga datos natin, we'll be doing some estimation. But next year, makita natin, di naman pala masyadong malaki yung magiging revisions if we will be factoring in those additional updated revised information. Baka pwede pang mas maaga yun. But for now, ang pangako po namin, August 28, we'll be releasing the 2025 PPA. Just to add lang din po kanina, no, yung binanggit ko, not only the data, the local government units yung ating ika-capacitate, but it's also important to capacitate our colleagues from the media. Kasi sila talaga din yung partner natin in disseminating the statistics. So I think we have an ongoing activity with our colleagues from the media to communicate yung ating mga official statistics, the GDP, the inflation, the labor market statistics, and so on. But at least, ayun nga, katuwang natin yung media in disseminating and popularizing our official statistics. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, Sir Carlos. Okay.
Yung educating and the media, kasi nga, I think it's important for them to be able to report properly. And again, because again, yun nga, sometimes nakaka-problema. especially sa labor force survey of the Philippine. So I think among others, I think it's important that again the media is also appreciates and can accurately report or interpret the results of again a lot of these data that are being churned out by PSA and also by DepDev.
Thank you so much, ANS Mark, and also Director Ana and Yusek Carlos, as well as Ms. LG. Okay, so there's a question from there. Ma'am?
Hello, good afternoon. I'm Christine San Pedro from the Public-Private Partnership Center of the Philippines. Thank you to the Philippine Statistics Authority for inviting us and for generating this valuable data, PPA data, that the LGUs can use. We note that the report highlighted that the role of PPPs in provincial economies may still need further determination. And these insights help highlight where additional support for LGUs could be useful as they explore PPP projects or opportunities in their respective local areas. We welcome this and we would like to emphasize the crucial role of the PPP Center in ensuring the capacity building of the LGUs and their officers in the government, not only to understand the data, but that this can be used to shape PPP projects in their respective areas and which can be drivers for growth, not only in the local governments, but also in the Philippines. Thank you.
So thank you, ma'am. We have
So good afternoon po. JC Aldana po from TSWT. And we just like to ask po, given the PPA, is it possible for the PPA data to be integrated into poverty and vulnerability mapping to refine targeting on our end? I know we have the CBMS, but I'm curious as to how would this be applied in that context. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for the question. Well, pwede naman natin siya ma-integrate, no? But we also have to understand that when we talk about the provincial product accounts, when we talk about the gross domestic product, this is actually the performance of the provinces, of the highly urbanized cities in terms of the newly produced goods and services. When we talk about the poverty statistics, we're talking about yung in terms of yung sa income, no? Yung anong threshold yon para masabi natin na part siya nung poverty. And maybe we can link it to the well-being of the households or the family or the individuals. But siguro ano naman siya kumbaga correlated when we had this simulation sa grupo namin, correlated yung negatively correlated yung ating poverty with the economic performance of the provinces or the highly urbanized cities. The more na nag-grow yung isang probinsya, yung isang highly urbanized cities, mas bumababa yung poverty incidence, no? But tama naman kay sir. Actually, with the new recommendations of the System of National Accounts, the 2025 SNA, we also have to not only measure the well-being of the economy, but we also need to measure well-being of the people. I'm not talking about the well-being of the environment yet, pero kasama din yon sa mga bagong recommendations ng ating 2025 System of National Accounts. But we will look into that, sir, on how we can integrate, how we can discuss economic performance vis-a-vis alleviating poverty, as also mentioned by Yusek Kaloy earlier. Thank you.
Ayoko sana magsalita. No, I think again it's additional pressure now for PSA Kasi I'm sure now that we've gone down to the level of the province, the next question would be, paano yung mga munisipyo? But again, in terms of the vulnerability aspect, I think what's more important is again to have I don't know, to have lower level estimates of poverty. And again, I think the triangulation would be the CBMS. And again, if pwede din, ito na naman, if pwede din bilisan ninyo ang pag-release nyo ng small area estimates. So I think so whoever is the one that because right now we have the 2021 small area estimates. So I'm sure baka after the FICE come out, 'di ba? Baka shorten that gap so that again the SWD can also look at triangulate na okay, ito yung aming mga marami na na let's say 4Ps na mga beneficiaries no, based on our small model based targeting, and then we have the small area estimates model based then, but they can probably triangulate that and see na okay, this municipality medyo ang konti na beneficiaries natin pero sa SAE bakit malaki yung poverty. So again, I think that for vulnerability, that's more because parang flow ngayon yung di ba the PPA sa flow. It's the annual production, so it gives us a certain insight. But again, for the vulnerability, we would like to see whether or not how big is the poor, the near poor in this different, and again going down to a much lower level than the province, because again we want to look at the areas where we want to target the most, no? So yun lang. So
Thank you, ANS Mark, and also Yusek Carlos, and for your question. Thank you. So we can entertain one more question. Okay, okay, let's hear from
Just for the including some small area poverty estimates, for the 2023 naman po na small area poverty estimates, we'll be releasing it this year. Tapos at the same time, kasi next year, August din yung target release namin ng poverty for 2025. Pero yung pa po yun, provincial, hanggang provincial, so magsasabay dun sa PPA. So madali pa. Mag-relate. Thank you po.
Okay, thank you so much, ma'am. So let's entertain one more questions. And any further inquiries, you may send an email through our official email address at sayad.staff@psa.gov.ph. Again, you may send further inquiries through an email with our official email address at sead.staff@psa.gov.ph. So let's entertain one more question. So may isang tanong pa po ba kayo? You may raise your hand po. Questions, insights, suggestions, clarifications, and impressions with our activity today. Going once, going twice, and that ends our open forum. Thank you so much for your contribution in this insightful discourse. So at this juncture, let us award the certificates of appreciation to our resource speakers. The certificate of appreciation is given to Sir Carlos Bernardo O. Abad Santos, the Undersecretary of the Department of Economy, Planning and Development, in grateful recognition and sincere appreciation of his invaluable service rendered as resource person in the Provincial Product Accounts National Dissemination Forum on the 2024 economic performance of the 82 provinces and 33 highly urbanized cities at Multifunction Halls 1A and 1B, 24th floor PSA headquarters, PSA Complex, East Avenue, Diliman, Quezon City. Given this first day of December 2025, once again, Undersecretary Carlos Bernardo O. Abad Santos. The same certificate is given to Director Annalisa F. Bonagua, the Director of the Bureau of Local Government Development of the DILG. And the same certificate of appreciation is presented to Director Ralphie Blake Barrios, the Director of Plans, Programs, and Policy of the Union of Local Authorities of the Philippines. So thank you so much. And now, once again, thank you so much to our resource person who contributed comprehensive insights as well as answering the inquiries by our fellow participants. So now to formally close this event, please help me welcome the OIC of the Subnational Economic Accounts Division, Ms. LGA Gulani Rosenblatt.
To our distinguished resource persons, Undersecretary Carlos Bernardo Abad Santos from the Department of Economy, Planning and Development, Director Annalisa Bonagua from the Department of the Interior and Local Government, Director Ralphie Blake Barrios from the Union of Local Authorities of the Philippines, Assistant National Statistician Mark Pascasio, value stakeholders that are present today, and my colleagues in the Philippine Statistics Authority. Good afternoon, everyone. As we close this National Dissemination Forum on the Provincial Product Accounts on the 2024 economic performance of the 82 provinces and 33 highly urbanized cities in the Philippines, allow me to extend our sincere appreciation to your active participation and thoughtful engagement throughout today's forum. This is the first time the PPA results have been disseminated at the national level. In previous years, dissemination was done only at the provincial level to inform local stakeholders, which are our primary users, and to strengthen support for PPA compilation and data provision. But with the growing importance of granular economic data for national planning, resource allocation, and policy formulation, it became essential to bring this PPA discussion to a wider national audience. This forum aimed to share the latest PPA results and also to highlight the importance of reliable local level data. By making these statistics accessible, we hope to encourage everyone to use the PPA not only to the offices of our resource persons in shaping programs, crafting policies, and guiding investment that create meaningful and positive change, but also in your sectors being served by your respective offices. With the PPA, we had the easier, maybe that is the right time, easier time to compile the NIR because we just need to transfer regions, provinces of Region 6 and Region 7 to NIR. And later on, we will be having also the transfer of Sulu Province to the Zamboanga Peninsula region. And thanks for the PPA, later we don't have that much difficulties. No? Okay, and we will like also to extend our appreciation to our data source partners who are present today. Nandito po sila, ating mga data sources whose input significantly contribute to our quarterly national accounts, regional and provincial economic accounts. Nandito, palakpakan po natin yung ating mga national data sources. Nandito yon from different industries. Our gratitude also goes to the media for joining us today. Your role in communicating these results to the public is essential in fostering a more informed citizen and ensuring that statistics guide meaningful conversation, understanding, and transparency. The insights shared by our resource persons emphasize how PPA supports development planning, local economic management, and policy direction. Their perspective reaffirmed that when data is meaningfully used, it drives responsive governance, better targeted programs, and more sustainable outcomes. As mentioned by NS, kanina sa message niya, This year's PPA compilation is especially significant with the PSA Board's approval on the institutionalization of the PPA. With this milestone, we appeal for your strengthened support. The continued success of PPA relies on sustained cooperation, collaboration, and dialogue with all our partners and data providers. Aligned with our commitment to timeliness, as mentioned, kanina maraming beses with our ANS Mark Pascasio, we are pleased to share that beginning next year, the release of PPA will be earlier than usual. See, from December, naging November, and then naging October, and then naging September. Next year will be August 28 na. So, medyo malapit na. So, this is to provide our data users timely access to critical economic information. So, on behalf of the Philippine Statistics Authority, our heartfelt gratitude goes to our distinguished speakers, our partners and stakeholders for your time, energy, and commitment, and to the organizing team, the Macroeconomic Accounts Service, who worked tirelessly to make this forum a success. This milestone belongs to all of us. Let us continue working together to ensure that data-driven development becomes a reality for every Filipino. Have a safe journey home, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. LG. So that concludes our National Dissemination Forum of the 2024 Economic Performance of Provinces and HUCs and the Philippines. Thank you very much for dedicating your time and listening and sharing your insights, and especially for your support in the generation of national, regional, and provincial product accounts. Your presence is highly appreciated, and we hope that today's discussions inspired continued collaboration and informed decision-making as we work together toward meaningful development. So just some reminders before we leave the premises. Please fill up the attendance sheet at the secretariat table as well as the evaluation sheets at your assigned table. And last but not the least, before we leave these multifunction halls, please observe CLAGO. So once again, this is Lloyd from the Macroeconomic Account Service, and have a great day. And before that, let's have a photo opportunity. Okay, so facing here at the audience. So can I request all of our participants here on stage for a photo opportunity? Okay.
Welcome to the Provincial Product Accounts National Dissemination Forum 2024 Economic Performance of the 82 provinces and 33 highly urbanized cities of the Philippines. Welcome to the Provincial Product Accounts National Dissemination.
Noong 2024, ang ekonomiya ng Pilipinas ay dumago ng 5.7%, o katumbas ng 22.24 trillion pesos. Ayon sa PPA results, sa taong 2024, sa lahat ng 82 provinces at 33 HUC sa bansa, Quezon City ang may pinakamalaking Gross Domestic Product o GDP. Ito ay may kabuuang halaga na 1.33 trillion pesos o katumbas na 6% ng GDP ng Pilipinas. Sumunod ang Makati City, Laguna, Manila City at Cavite sa laki ng ekonomiya. Lahat ng probinsya at HUC sa bansa ay nagtala ng paglago ng ekonomiya noong taong 2024. 51 ekonomiya ang nagtala ng mas mabilis na paglago kumpara sa kabuuang ekonomiya ng bansa. Ang probinsya ng Eastern Samar ang may pinakamabilis na paglago ng ekonomiya na may 10.2% growth. Sumunod ang Puerto Princesa City, Batanes, Dinagat Islands at Bataan sa bilis ng paglago ng ekonomiya. Sektor ng agriculture, forestry, and fishing, ang Pilipinas ay nagtala ng 1.78 trillion pesos na produksyon. Sa lahat ng probinsya at HUC sa bansa, Bukidnon ang may pinakamalaking kontribusyon sa kabuuang AFF ng bansa. Sumunod ang Nueva Ecija, Pangasinan, Pampanga at Isabela. Samantala, ang probinsya ng Eastern Samar ang nagtala ng pinakamabilis na paglago na may 28.5% sa sektor ng agriculture, forestry, and fishing. Sumunod ang Cebu City, Dinagat Islands, Bohol at Marinduque. Sa sektor ng industriya, ang Pilipinas ay nagtala ng 6.47 trillion pesos na produksyon. Laguna ang may pinakamalaking kontribusyon sa kabuuang industriya ng bansa. Sumunod ang Cavite, Batangas, Bulacan at Pampanga. Habang ang Occidental Mindoro naman ang nagtala ng pinakamabilis na paglago ng industriya na may 15.1%. Sumunod ang Isabela, Puerto Princesa City, Malabon City at Negros Occidental. Pagdating sa services, ang Pilipinas ay nagtala ng 13.99 trillion pesos na produksyon. Quezon City ang may pinakamalaking kontribusyon sa kabuuang services ng bansa. Sumunod ang Makati City, Manila City, Taguig City at Laguna. Samantala, si Quijor ang may pinakamabilis na paglago ng services na may 9.5%. Sumunod ang Camiguin, Puerto Princesa City, Iligan City at Batanes. Sa usaping GDP per capita, Makati City ang nagtala ng pinakamataas na halaga na 3.89 million pesos. Para sa karagdagang kaalaman tungkol sa PPA results, bisitahin ang PPA page sa PSA website.